Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2021 South by Southwest EDU session featuring 2U, which is where I work, Netflix and Norfolk State. We're really excited that you decided to join us for this conversation about mentorship and pathways to increase Black tech talent. I could not be more thrilled to be joined by President Adam Gaston, who is the president of Norfolk State University, and Kabi Gashiru, who is the Director of Inclusion Recruiting Programs at Netflix. And rather than get into a bunch of background about all of us, we're going to just dive right into the conversation. My name is David Sutphin, and I'm the Chief Strategy and Engagement Officer at 2U. So it's great to see both of you again. I know we've been looking forward to having this conversation. It's timely, and I think something that we all feel both personal and professional passion about. So with that, Kabi, let's start with you. How did this partnership come about? I'd love to hear, what happened inside Netflix, what led to the conversations that ultimately helped us develop this pretty innovative partnership.
Yeah. Well, first, David and Dr. J, it's so great to see you both again. And I love this conversation. I can talk about it all day long, so I'm glad that we're talking about it. Back in early 2019, we took a handful of folks in our product organization, some engineers, to Norfolk State University. And the goal was just to get to know students, get to know faculties, get across the country, get out of our Silicon Valley bubble, and understand what are students learning at HBCUs. When we think about the workforce at Netflix and diversifying the workforce, and specifically our technical organizations, what learnings can we take from heading over to an HBCU and getting to know students and the curriculum and the faculty. So we went over and we just started to build relationships with Norfolk State University, and we walked away just so excited by the possibility of partnership and just the opportunity and what we could what could be done if we continue to stay connected to Norfolk State University. In addition, we have some incredible HBCU alum at Netflix. One that I'd love to shout out is Michael Chase, and Michael Chase is an awesome senior software engineer. When we're thinking about amazing colleagues like Michael Chase who are having tremendous impact at Netflix, one thing that comes to mind for me is, how can we, get more Michael Chases in Netflix? And the key word that came to mind was access and opportunity. How can we bridge this gap between, Norfolk State University and opportunities at Netflix? And there was an aligned appetite and hunger for us to do something that was innovative and new and fresh. And when we started to think of this boot camp idea and really just adding value to the already great skills that students are developing in the classroom at NSU, we thought about Norfolk State. It just made sense to build upon the relationship that we already started to grow. And that's how this whole thing began, and here we are.
Great. So Dr. J, over to you. Tell us a little bit about both, the computer science department at NSU, but also when somebody comes knocking on your door and says, hey, we'd love to build on this relationship and turn this into something more, structured that can benefit your existing students and some of your recent alums. What excited you about the partnership, and so far, what do you think has made it a success to date?
Well, thank you. And first, I'd like to say, of course, hello to you, David, and to you, Kabi from Netflix. And this is just a joy to be with you and to really talk about this partnership with Norfolk State University, 2U, and Netflix. I think it really is transformational. I think it changes the game. And what happens is HBCUs are really home to amazing talent and diversity. and different ways of thinking about the world because of the experiences of the individuals who come to the university. And it really gives organizations a chance to see what is possible, who's out there, and how do they make a difference. And so when you think about our computer science program and you think about our engineering programs, we have some of the best faculty in the nation who teach our students. But what they add to that is their commitment to working both one-on-one with those students and mentoring those students and supporting those students through the process, which is one of the things I love about this 2U Netflix opportunity, because what really is happening is not only did um, this opportunity provide financial support, but what it really provided for our students was access and training and mentorship. And those things are game changers. When you come from an environment where you've always had those opportunities, um, you know how to look for things, you know how to ask for things. When you may not have had that opportunity, through no fault of your own, it is important that somewhere along the line, we help those students understand access, understand training, and utilize the mentorship to really help them be more grounded in what is possible, what's available. That's why the Michael Chase story is so important. Michael is a alum of Norfolk State University who's giving back to the university by using his opportunities at Netflix as a senior software engineer to say, I know a great place where you can get exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for that diversity of individuals, of thought, of experience, and Norfolk State University is the place where you can find it. So when I look at this, I look at this is the future. This is how we'll transform not only higher education, but we'll transform organizations and quite frankly, the world.
That's great. Very inspiring. Kabi, you know, for the folks watching this, there's obviously information about the partnership, you know, available to you. But Kabi, I think it might actually make sense to spend a couple of minutes just like laying out for folks exactly what the partnership entails, what the boot camps involve, just so people have a full picture of the collaboration. And I guess one thing that I would say that has inspired me about this is, you know, we talk a lot about diversity, not only in terms of creating pathways and opportunities, in this case for, you know, Black folks and Black students to make their way in tech and media and entertainment, but there's also really interesting diversity of skill sets and experience around the three organizations involved to pull this off in a way that could be a major success. So maybe talk a little bit about, you know, what's the nuts and bolts of what this partnership looks like, and you know, how mentoring is kind of a integrated and essential element of it.
Yeah. So this, you know, this has come to fruition by the hands of many, many people and lots of work. So the boot camp is a 5-month boot camp. We kicked it off in January and it will go through May. And there are 3 tracks within the boot camp. There is an engineering track, a design track, and a data science track. And each track, you know, we had different requirements and prerequisites for each track, and we worked very, very closely with NSU and 2U to really design each track and think about the participant experience, think about what success would look like for every participant, and how we just wanted to elevate each participant's, you know, skill development and through their involvement in the track. With every track, we needed curriculum. So that was definitely a heavy lift and a huge partnership between Norfolk, 2U, and Netflix engineers, and really designing You know, what would this 5-month curriculum look like for students, for freshmen, for seniors, for alumni, and really taking into consideration all of the different things that participants have on their plate. You know, folks are working, they have full class loads. You know, alumni, some may have families. So how can we really set folks up for success, knowing that they come in with many other things on their plate, and design curriculum in a way that would add value. So lots and lots of work went into that piece. But one of the foundational pieces, David, like you mentioned, is mentorship. Relationship is key. You know, just like, you know, us going into this partnership with Norfolk State, because we established a relationship, we knew that this could not be successful without relationship, and that every participant needed to be aligned to a mentor, someone who we hoped could give them guidance throughout the program, but long beyond the program, really just be an advisor and a thought partner and a mentor throughout their career. I personally know the power of mentorship. I think that when you've had a mentor, you see how much influence they have over, you know, shaping, you know, and helping you understand how to navigate your career in the direction that you go. So each participant has a Netflix mentor. This mentor is a part of our technical organization. So this is someone who is pretty seasoned in their career, understands the skills and that are needed to navigate the spaces that folks are in, can really help participants think through their next step. And they meet bi-weekly. And our hope is that these are long-lasting relationships. And so far, so good. We're hearing really great reports. And I'm just so excited for students to look back years from now and still have these relationships with mentors and be able to see the value in that piece of the program.
Dr. J, I know we've talked in the past about how important just mentorship is, how much that's defined your perspective and your journey as someone who is a higher ed leader. So maybe talk a little bit about the importance of the combination of the practical as applied, you know, technical knowledge that's supplementing, you know, the amazing curriculum that students are already getting, you know, as NSU folks, and, you know, and also how marrying that with the mentorship and the support is the 2 + 2 = 5 combination that's so important.
Absolutely. One of the things that is really important for all students is to have not only a sense of the technical and the academic components of what they're working on, but how does it apply? And how do I see myself in that endeavor? How do I see myself in that career? And so, what the boot camp does is it gives that knowledge and that information that's so important. But if I don't see myself, if I don't see a way forward, if I don't know how this works in practice, then it's very difficult, not impossible, but much more difficult for me to move forward and to move into that area. I always say to people, experience is important. So experiential learning is always critical, not just knowing, but doing. And then you need someone or someones who you can talk to and learn from about what it is like to be in that career. How is that career shaped? What do I need to do? How do I make entree? How do I sidestep some of the mistakes? You won't sidestep them all, but some of the mistakes that I might have by not having knowledge about what to do next. This really makes a huge difference in the lives of students. I tell people my background was as a psychologist. I practiced for over 25 years. I don't practice now, but one of the key components is the installation of hope. That's how you get change in people. And when I connect with somebody who cares about me, who says you can do this, who says this is important and you are important, and here's how I can help you, I get that hope that I need in order to be successful. That's what's happening here. And that is a game changer.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Dr. J, because we've been doing some research recently with Gallup, and one of the main criteria that they measure is, did you have a faculty member during your experience who showed interest in you and your aspirations? And that is one of the single biggest indicators of both success and people's perceptions of the value of their learning experience. So I guess I'd like to maybe dig in a little bit more on, because this stuff is never easy, you know, and throughout my career, I've seen a lot of public-private partnership collaborations that sound good in concept, but don't ever manage to get off the ground. And I know this is a pilot first year, and there's learnings that we're all gonna take away from this. That's part of the iterative process and growing and transfer. But you know, Kabi, first to you, maybe talk a little bit about some of the complexities that had to be figured out to do this, because one of the things that I think is exciting about this is not only is it a great kind of example, but there's some useful lessons, I think, for companies that really want to partner with HBCUs in thoughtful ways. So for example, the students are going to earn credit, right? That was not an easy dimension to it. So maybe talk a little bit about some of the things that you learned from the perspective of Netflix about what it actually takes when you want to cross different kind of sectors and make a collaboration like this work. And then Dr. J, I'm going to come to you with a similar question.
Yeah. You know, I think we went into this fully aware that, you know, what we don't know. So we went in knowing that we needed Norfolk State University to really help us understand the student and you know, the load that a student was carrying in their day-to-day, you know, the curriculum that they're taking in school, so that we could design something that would add value to that, but wouldn't weigh them down tremendously. Tons of complexities. I mean, the credit thing, that's one that you mentioned, David. We wanted this to be something that students received credit for, and we had to understand the current credits that they were receiving in the classroom and really design curriculum in a way that would supplement what they are learning currently in the classroom. And that took some really diligent, you know, understanding and digging into the computer science program at Norfolk State University and other degree programs that students are in, and really aligning just the different things. So we worked with Norfolk State, we worked with 2U, we had our engineers, and we spent weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks digging through curriculum for 3 different tracks. And we went back and forth, and we'd come up with something and we'd go back and say, oh no, that doesn't make sense, and go back and we'd tap folks like Michael Chase, who are alumni, and we'd hear about his experience and help him, ask him to help us understand different classes and how they came into play with what we wanted to teach in this program. So lots of trial and error. And, you know, even this year, it's a pilot program, and I believe that we'll have so many learnings so that next year can be even better. But it took a lot of erasing and rewriting for sure.
Yeah, Dr. J, how about from your perspective? Because, you know, I suspect in the last 6 months, you're not the only HBCU president that's gotten a lot of phone calls from people in the business community saying, hey, we'd love to figure out a way to work with you. And, you know, so you're interested in your perspective on like what advice you would give to somebody who might be sitting in the audience thinking, oh, I'd love for my company to figure out a way to do something like this. So the approach and the spirit of collaboration and knowing what you don't know that you have to come to the table with to make this work.
I think that the key here is higher education really needs to be open to new ways of thinking about how we deliver higher education. That when you start to talk about a delivery like has been developed with 2U and Netflix, what you really talk for credit, which is really the thing that typically makes people a little uncomfortable. But if you're collaborating, if you're working together, you know what you need. We know what the faculty know and can deliver. But how do we put this together in a way that really helps the student to be what we like to call first day ready. So we've had to pivot in higher education because of COVID. And we're delivering much of education online. That's a huge pivot for higher education, and we're working through that. But when we're pivoting, we have to be um, more progressive, more visionary about what that means. And this is a visionary program. This is saying together we can come up with a curriculum that has substance, that meets the needs of the institution, that meets the needs of the students, and that meets the needs of the organization. That's what we've done. And I'm excited for the continuing years of this program because I think that it's something that really allows us to demonstrate to the world what can be done. And you're right, we're very fortunate that lots of folks are coming forward and lots of organizations are coming forward and saying, we're interested in you. And we invite and encourage that because whatever that does, whenever those individuals come forward and want to bring new and innovative ways for our students to engage, that helps our students' success. And we know that when we have those things, we're able to move them forward. It's funny that you should talk about Gallup because I spent a lot of time with the Gallup folks. In fact, Brian Boosted and I did some presenting together. And this fundamental issue that people seem to have missed for a long time, which is those students who have a mentor, faculty mentor, a person who understands what it is that they're going through and how they need help to get to the other side. So it could be the corporate mentor, it could be the faculty mentor, it could be the leadership mentor, it could be whomever, but they need that person or persons who help them really understand, again, understand themselves, understand the world that they're in, and understand the world they're going to. That's the power of this collaboration. That's the power of this program. So then what you really are thinking about is what do students need to know? How do they get that information delivered? How is it quantifiable so that it meets with our standards for accreditation? How does it meet the needs of the organization so that the organization has more opportunity in terms of excellence from individuals who are coming to them? And finally, how does the student end up feeling about themselves, their future, and the opportunities in a way that would not happen without these programs?
Yeah, I have to say that the application videos that the students submitted were, very inspiring and just make you appreciate just how much, both hope and opportunity and talent, is there. It's interesting because one of the other things that I think the partnership involves, which is a kind of a 2U dimension to this, which I think is relevant to what you were just saying, Dr. J, is, we have an entire career services team that supports people who are in our other boot camps, like the ones that we offer outside of a partnership like this. And all of the students are going to benefit from that as well, because I'm sure everyone would love to ultimately get the job at Netflix, but I'm not going to be able to probably get a job at Netflix. And everybody can't come. But what I love about this is, regardless of the path that someone wants to take, once they've gone through this boot camp, they are going to have access to all of this rich career services. Interestingly, not surprisingly, Dr. J, I'm sure you're having this experience as with 2U. Like whenever you do something with Netflix, it gets a little more attention than the normal thing that you do. And we've actually had companies reach out to us who are in our hiring network saying, hey, by the way, if some of those students who are in this Norfolk State, boot camp need some jobs, like, please come. So I think that it's that kind of energy and excitement and realization that you're tapping into real talent and creating opportunity. That's really great.
That might not,
Kabi,
sorry,
yeah, sure, go for it.
that may not otherwise happen for HBCUs or other institutions because there's a trend, there's been a traditional trend towards we'll go to certain schools, organizations will go to certain schools, and that's sort of what they're used to. Now we are expanding that pool of schools Therefore, we're expanding the pool of talent. This matters greatly for the success of organizations going forward. So I think that you're exactly right. This career component where students get to be acknowledged as excellent. And sometimes you have to have the stamp of the Netflix
Mm.
or the stamp of the Apple or the stamp, whatever that may be, changes how people at least give them an opportunity to come through the door.
Yeah,
Yes. Can I add to that?
of course.
Dr. J, what you said is so true. I think Black voices move culture. If we know that, and if we want to be innovative, these companies, we need these Black voices. We need this generation, and so many of these programs are built. And it could be perceived that we are helping students, which there is a level of added skill that we're adding through these programs, but we need these students, we need these voices, we need this creativity, this innovation, to develop successful products that will lead us into the future. So that's another reason that I'm so excited about this program, and I'm tremendously excited when I see companies building programs like this, because we need these students, we need HBCUs, we need Norfolk State University, and I think that this illustrates that. And I'm excited to see the long-term impact of programs like these.
Yeah, and that's part of what excites me as well, because we structured this in a way that it's sustainable. Because and that's also a very challenging thing to do, is when you have multiple parties coming together, is like, how can we do this in a way that works and is sustainable for all parties involved? I'm sensitive to time, so I want to wrap up with final question for each of you. Kabi, there's obviously probably tons of people watching this who who aren't students at Norfolk State, maybe at another HBCU, maybe not, and are just interested in, like, hey, how can I think about breaking into and getting a job at a place like Netflix? I'd love it if you could just spend a couple of minutes, since you were the person who is responsible for, creating some of those pathways for people into a company like Netflix. What are two or three pieces of advice or perspective you would add to that, to folks hoping one day to be like
Yeah.
Michael?
At Netflix, we're all about innovation and curiosity. So my first piece of advice would be to start there. Um, get curious, start digging, look into what we're doing. We're at this intersection of tech and entertainment, and it's so inspiring. Dig around and find out what work inspires you. Start there and connect with folks. Relationship is key. Leverage LinkedIn, leverage your networks, leverage your alumni departments at your schools, and connect with folks that are in spaces that you'd like to be in, and start there.
That's great. And Dr. J, I guess for you, what I'm interested in is if you could share your perspective, both in the context of this partnership, but just more generally for an audience that maybe this is the first time that they've had a chance to hear from you as the president of Norfolk State. Like, what would you want them to know, both about what Norfolk State is delivering to the world, and what opportunities you want your students to have, and for them to know about your students in the university?
Well, thank you. First, let me say what we're delivering to the world is excellence. Individuals who are excellent in their given area of study and in their career choice and in now their career readiness. And that's the piece that I think will separate us from other places, which is we are really focused on, are our students first day ready when they go out into the world? We think students will want to be and do want to be at Norfolk State University. We're the largest HBCU in the state, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we're one of the most affordable in the Commonwealth. But what we deliver are individuals who are well prepared, knowledgeable, have had the opportunity to be transformed while they're here to be their best selves and to be ready to go out into the world. And so when I think about Norfolk State University, I think about our cybersecurity program, think about our computer science program, our theater program, our engineering program, our music program, across the board, our history program. There's so many pieces, our business. What we offer students is the space and the opportunity to come to an institution. You know, we always think of people as coming to institutions of higher education, having a major and going through and finishing. And those days are so long gone. I mean, students
Yeah.
change their major 3 to 5 times by the time they leave an institution of higher education. So what a higher education should be doing is helping an individual with skill sets. So that's why this boot camp is so important. But it also has to help them with the skills we used to call soft skills that are now power skills. So how to think critically, how to speak well, how to write well, how to work in teams, how to be a part of diverse environments. That's what's happening here at Norfolk State University. We're all about the student success, and we're creating partnerships that are key to that student success. And I can't be more thrilled than the opportunity that we're having with Netflix and 2U in terms of moving us forward.